Okay, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and welcome you all to the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee Open Forum, which we have every fall. And this open forum is an opportunity for Greenbelt residents to tell us what they like about living in Greenbelt and tell us what issues they would like to be addressed. I am Carol Shaw. I'm the president of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. And at this table are the other members of the advisory committee. There's Tissa Rogers, Mary Wade, Iona King, Marty Galvin, and Betty Timmer. And I want to thank Tissa and Mary and Betty because they're going to take notes, because at the end of this, we discuss the top 3 issues that came out of the discussion, and we send them to the city council. And sometimes they listen and do something, and sometimes they don't. But we do our best. I also want to thank Gate volunteer Mike McMullen. You'll notice Mike McMullen. You'll notice there's a camera over here, and there's a camera. So Dave is videotaping this, and we hope it'll be on their channel, soon. So what I ask is for people to speak up when you have an opportunity to speak. Before we start, I'd like to point out some housekeeping details. First off, the bathrooms are down the hall to the left, and then there's a small hallway to the right. And there's 2 one-seaters in there. The fire exits are on either end of the hallway at the stairs. So if there's a fire, go to the nearest stairs and head down. I'd like to note, for those who are campaigning for city council, please do not distribute any campaign materials or give any campaign speeches, as this is a non-political event. There are evaluation forms on your seats, and we'd like you to complete these at the end of the event. Then drop them on the table at the back of the room. These evaluations help us learn more about these events and how we can improve them so that you get more out of them. I will remind you that, turn my notes over here. What you'll do is raise your hand and I'll recognize you. And you'll tell us, give us your name and what section of Greenbelt where you live. And then you can ask your question, tell us what you like, give us your issue, and then members like city council members and Greenbelt police officer may respond. I will limit those conversations to a maximum of 2 minutes so everyone has a chance to talk. So I will, set time and cut you off. And there will always be an opportunity to talk to these people after the event. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Betty Timmer to talk about what you like about living in Greenbelt.
I do the best part. I love living in Greenbelt. I am a vegan. And there are a lot of things that in Greenbelt you don't have to do where else in the world, I think. Could you tell me what you think you like best about living in Greenbelt or being in Greenbelt? Labor Day Festival.
Roosevelt Center.
Roosevelt Center. The underpasses. Isn't that a wonderful invention to think about? So many years ago, those people thought, rather than having our children walk across the street to get to school, we're going to have them go under the street and not have to do it across the street. Isn't that?
And the lake.
And the lake, okay? Did you know that the lake is also built by people? It was not there when this place was done. They built that lake. And they didn't have all those kinds of equipment they did. Men grabbed those trees and cut them down and pulled them up the side. That's how they built it. That's pretty amazing. Yes.
All of the walking paths.
All of the walking
I
paths.
just love it. And during COVID, I call it my COVID friends, because without classes to attend and such, they became a new part of my life.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
The news review.
The news review. Boy, isn't it wonderful to have local news that you know about? I don't know about you, but the national news are beginning those things I'm not watching much anymore because it hurts my heart. I have to do all I need it that way, no. So therefore, my choice. But I read the news review, it talked about them. Yes. The New Deal Cafe. Give me why do you like the New Deal?
Just being there in community with other people, all the music, the artists, the friends.
The artists and friends to people. Yes.
Walking to the grocery store.
Walking to the grocery store, and not having to get in a car and do it. And it's a grocery store that is evolving. It's different now than it was, and it continues to evolve. And that's something because you talk to them about it. You say it to the manager and he does something about it. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, our first responders, the police department and the fire department that protect our city.
Yes, they protect our city. I agree with you totally. Yes, ma'am.
And Public Works.
Public works.
It's amazing and great.
Yes.
Never lived
They make it look so beautiful. Boy, you guys are good.
trash and all.
Trash and everything else. Yes. Yes.
If my granddaughters who used to live with me for years, they would say that no matter what direction you walk, there is a playground.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Me?
Yes.
It's probably the only place in the world, definitely, well, other than the city of Washington, where you can walk to watch an open caption movie.
Only place you can watch it open passion.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday, okay.
Every Sunday and Mondays also.
Okay. But you can see a caption theater where you can see what the words are. Yes, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, what I know about Greenbelt, and that is the sense of volunteerism, and the fact that the gardens, and we respect nature, and we appreciate, and you want to eat healthy and live healthy. You can't say in Greenbelt there's nothing to do. There's something for everyone.
That's right. You can't say there's nothing to do, that's for sure. Anyone else? Good beings. I think we love our Greenbelt, don't we? Thank you for being here. Your turn.
I just want you to know, there are no natural lakes in the state of Maryland. They're all man-made.
Yes, yes. But they're not always handmade. This is me. I'm going to be writing on the blackboard things that you say. That's one way we're going to make sure we have everything done. We compile these, and actually your words go into our report also. We will put down what you said. And then from the issues, we pick out 3 that we think are the primary issues we've heard. And that's what we say, these are our priorities. And we hope the city council can make a difference with it. And honestly, there are lots of things that are different in the city since we did this. They've listened to us and they've made a difference because we asked for it. And I'll go back a long time ago when a husband and wife were walking around the lake and he was getting too weak to walk the whole distance without stopping. And so that was an issue that came up. And the city didn't put benches down because those were being destroyed by people. They put big rocks so he could sit down on a rock in between. That was an issue that came up. My issue was, it used to be when we came from behind the tennis courts and we went out to the lake. You did that by walking across this path that went down into the creek and back up on the other side. There was a tree on the other side that had my son's head marked on it many times. And when he went on his bike, boom, into the tree. And we said, couldn't you do something about that? Guess what? They built a bridge. We don't have to go through the lake anymore, and it helps everybody, not just me, but it helps moms who are pushing strollers and city public works, and so things that you just say are good news for lots of people. So we have some good news.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you for sharing those stories about the success of this open forum.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do now is ask you to share your current concerns about issues in the community. And city council members and police officer are able to respond to that. As I said before, I'd like you to raise your hand. I'll recognize you. Please stand up and give your name and the part of Greenbelt where you live. And it'll be, we're not going to go on forever for each discussion. So who would like to do it first? Yes, ma'am. Please stand and give us your name and where you live.
My name is Annie Shaw. I live in Oak Greenbelt in GA on Ridge Road.
Annie Shaw, I love your last name. So we can't because it's stuck here. But if you speak up, Annie, and tell us what your issue is.
My issue is that Monday through Fridays, people do not stop at the stop sign on Ridge and Eastway. They run it. Even school buses run it. And you're taking your life in your hands to have to be out on Ridge Road when school is opening and school is closing. And I propose that they put speed bumps at the stop signs. I know people like speed bumps, but if you had speed bumps there, then they would have to stop.
So Annie's concern is that people run the stop sign at Ridge Road and Eastway,
Even school buses.
even school buses.
But especially parents.
Is there a Greenbelt police officer here? Not yet? Okay. So, would somebody comment on that?
Kathy Jarva, also on Ridgeway. I think there should be speed bumps, the slow kind like on Northway, all the way from Eastway to the grade school. People do that whole area very quickly. There's a couple of curves that are enough that people coming off Plateau Place or out of the courts like 53, you can't see much either direction. And when people are speeding along there, again, you're taking your life in your hands.
So the gentleman in the back, thank you for that.
James Opal, I live over at GHI 14 Court. Related to this issue, one thing that I really like, because I'm seeing it in other countries and other areas, is the idea of continuous sidewalks. So rather than when you're walking, you have to drop down to the level of the street, you continue on, and then as cars are passing over that intersection, they realize, oh, this is a space for people. This is not like the space for cars, and it doubles as a speed bump.
Thank you. Jay Davis?
Yeah. I'm the council liaison to the advisory planning board, and they just finished an update on the bicycle pedestrian master plan, and they just put into the American Rescue Plan ARPA funds about $300,000 to put in amenities that would help bicyclists and pedestrians, including stop signs or yield signs that blink. We are also looking at speed humps, not bumps, on Ridge. And they are also looking at extending sidewalks. You know, there's space, there's no sidewalks, improving crosswalk lines and so on. That's $300,000 right there. Now, it's not going to take care of all of the problems that you talk about, but it will start, because we have been listening to you and we've been looking for some funds. These funds are something that we can use right now that will help most people. Now, the reason why we're doing humps, not bumps, is that bumps actually don't stop people that much. And you ever watch them, they just go over, they don't care. Humps is a very slow thing. It's also better for our fire trucks and our emergency vehicles because we don't want to damage them. It's also easier for our snowplows. The speed bumps get to be a problem. Now, I know that there are some in Greenbelt that have been successful, like on Northway, but that's not as heavily traveled as Ridge is with all of the buses and so on. So we are doing something, but keep us, keep us alert. We keep
Thank you, Jay. This gentleman here?
Tick Mangum, I live on Garden Way. The problem with the speed humps has been a past first responder. It slows all your equipment for when you have an emergency. Ridge Road is the main road. So everything, all these other roads are coming off of it. So you're actually slowing down your response time for emergencies, as I see it.
Well, thank you. Annie, did you have something to add to your original issue?
Yes, and it's the way parking for the cars. We park on the street on Ridge Road, and I live right off of our sidewalk that dead ends on Ridge Road right now at Methodist Church, and cars can park literally blocking the road because and if there were if the lines were painted so that there was a space so that kids and dog walkers, adults trying to enter Ridge Road, even to get to our cars,
if we could enter safely without having to walk in the street to see if there's anybody coming.
Thank you, Annie. This lady right here.
Hi, I'm Annie McFarland. I live on Ridge Road across from the Mowat Church. These are my two neighbors. Anyway, we do have a lot of concerns on Ridge Road, but I have two other topics I'd like to discuss. One thing, I know the city is against getting a cell tower. We really need one. I can't have the time living in a G&J house indoors. Fire department, old siren would be a perfect place to put it, and it would help out down at the fire department. I know this has been brought up many years, but it's
So let's have a
ridiculous.
response to that one issue, and
I'll go for
then
Okay.
The city is not against a cell phone tower. For Verizon, it's only the one provider. I have T-Mobile and people have AT&T and other kinds of phones, and the coverage is a little bit better. So I know there's a petition going around, and there's a big need for Verizon to do something. So for the city to ask one provider to do something, I mean, you can petition council, but we're just going to petition Verizon. So you might as well send the
I don't
petition to
have Verizon. I
Verizon.
don't have any of those.
What do
I
you
have
have?
Xfinity.
Xfinity
And
Comcast?
that's, yes, and I have no cell reception inside. It's a mess.
Yeah. I'm not so
It's really
familiar with
bad.
Comcast. Yeah. So in general, we are promoting, we need to have good access to cell phones for first responders for any number of reasons. When you can petition council, we're just going to have to turn around and send it back to Comcast or Verizon. Comcast is a little different in the way that they provide their cell phone service.
Okay.
Not that, but Verizon is the big problem.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Where, Jay,
I've said this before to someone at the city council meeting. The cell towers are out of date. They are not what is the future. The small cell towers are what you're going to see. The state has already been providing for this. If a small cell company comes to us, we have to look at their proposal. We cannot prohibit it. We have to look at it. We can say some questions about design or where it's located, but they will come in. And when they come in, they will be located on streetlights or on individual towers. That will be like every 100 feet, 500 feet, there will be a tower. And that tower will have access to all of the providers. So, and they get the money from these providers, and then hopefully we get some of the money for allowing them to get the money from the providers. It's one of those things. But you have to be aware, these are going to start popping up when we accept this company. We have one that's sort of on the edge. We haven't had an official proposal yet. But when it comes in, we will be dealing, there'll be public hearings. You'll get a chance to talk about it. They also have, I won't say transformers, but there's like every now and then they have to have a case that helps them. And they've been making them smaller. If you've been to Ocean City, they are in Ocean City on the boardwalk. And you'll say, I didn't see them. You don't really see them unless you're looking for them. So that's the future.
Thank you.
Once that goes in, that'll be fun.
Annie, you have a second issue?
Yeah, the city does a wonderful job on snow. I'm giving them big, the best in Greenbelt as far as. And I brought this up before, safety down at the lake. The police also do an excellent job, but I don't know, maybe they could put a camera here for things that go on down at the lake. I understand they may be short-staffed, so don't quote me on any of this. But just every now and then, there's a few things going on at the lake. And,
So what you're saying is you'd like more safety at the lake.
or even a park rangers patrol. I don't know how that works for the city, or what the situation is on that. For the,
More
Yeah.
safety, take care of whatever.
So we're adding for more,
patrol. Just
Patrol.
patrol or something, or I don't know, cameras, I don't know. Whatever.
yes ma'am?
Back to the issue of the humps or bumps on the road, why couldn't we put grids like the agriculture center has on their road? No? They Oh, okay. Well, I'm just thinking it slows people down. No, it causes noise.
And you go faster to get over the
That's fine.
Okay, so that's one option. Yes, Conrad?
Hi, yeah, Conrad Verling, and I'm fortunate enough to serve on the city council.
And where do you live?
I leave on November 13th at about probably 7:37 p.m., something like that.
Where do you live?
Oh, I thought you said leave. Where do you live? I live in Mr. Mangum's home court of 13, well, my 11 Ridge. I grew up in 13 Ridge. So I've got good distance in that time.
Oh, good.
Couple of quick things. One on the issue of the towers. You know, I worked for 38 years at the Federal Communications Commission. You should also include, maybe a group of you together can put together a petition to the SEC asking for those companies that are not providing service to get into the ballgame. Because even if it's made available by the city, the FCC can actually help get that ball rolling. The other thing, I want to thank Annie Shaw, because Annie was my introduction to the Time Bank, and together we worked on the effort to look at seriously the whole effort of making a Ridge Road a safer road for pedestrians as well as bicyclists. Just crossing from where she is over to the Moab Methodist Church can be a nice proposition. So we actually met with Terry Ruby and Amy, the planning department, and they said they are putting together a plan for all of Ridge Road. So,
Well, that's nice to hear.
but the Time Bank is definitely involved, and so I think
Thank you,
Annie, the
Conrad.
Time Bank.
The woman in front of you, did you have something you want to say?
Different issue, and I just thought of this morning, but as a senior, I've been thinking about what we can do for our youth after school. And I also have belonged to Planet Fitness for many years. And they provide access for teenagers during the summer. But they discontinue that during the school year. And I just, we might talk with them, maybe even provide a few funds for them to do something after school for teens, continue that.
So your suggestion is that the city work with Planet Fitness to do an after-school program for the teens?
especially considering the location.
William? William, right?
William Davis, and I live in West Greenville. My issue is there's a little bitty sign that says Kenilworth Avenue coming up Edmonston Road. You can barely see it. If you don't know where that little access, you won't find it based on that sign. It needs to be a large sign. Okay.
Thank you, William. Yes, ma'am?
I'm Jane Huntington on Research Road, and my issue is computers and Facebook. I'm very not computer savvy, and I don't know where to turn for computer help, and I would imagine there are other seniors who have some of the same issues that I have. Facebook is an enigma to me, so that's really what I'm asking for, how we can get a little more, communication through internet and all that.
Rick?
I'm Rick Gordon, living in Greenville West. Two things. Just want to speak first to the safety issue in the park. We did have a meeting with council with our police department. Very good dialogue. And our police officers doing a great job what they're doing. But we should then mention they do have to patrol. So you have that. So we can't mention your concern here today to them. So you have to patrol some part of their details. So just let you know that. Okay, so you are on the job with that. And also, that's a great idea. And I know a few years ago was another forum, I know secret forum, I was on it was online. And, definitely have Sandra Andrews, who's our PIO. That's something the council we talked to her possibly do some class or something. They could work with folks about internet, about Facebook, things like that. I have no problem. I know it's no secret. I'm a Facebook person. But I have So I have no problem. You just need assistance. I have no problem myself individually, but I'm pretty sure the state can talk to Sandra, something officially. That way she can work with seniors about Facebook literacy, social media, things like that. Because the world is changing, times is changing, and obviously also communication, contact with your loved ones, things like that. So thank you very much.
So what is Sandra's position?
She's our PIO. She's our public information officer.
Public
Public information officer. Yep.
Secretary Chandria speak.
Yes.
Chandria.
Yes, Sandria Andrews.
Do you have any?
Over here because I don't like my back to anybody. I prepared something, before I do that, I just also like to say that Ridge Road up there where it seems like a lot of people live, we had 2 cars stolen there. And I think part of it, both times we had video footage of them from the Ring doorbells, but it was too dark. There's no lighting on Ridge Road, and that's just an issue, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Crowley. My family and I live in Bell Point, Ridge Road, and also in East Greenbelt at Greenbelt Lake Village. So we kind of cover the whole territory. I prepared my words so that I could be quick. I've been a resident of Greenbelt since 1974, going from a person just out of college to retiree. And I very much appreciate that Greenbelt prioritizes seniors. We have a lot of great activities and programs and discounts. I'm an active member of the Pickleball Club and have made great friends there and also lost 31 pounds. We are excited about the gradual increase, and we have grown so much from like 4, 5, 6 people to like, I don't even know how many there are there. We're excited about the gradual increase in court availability, including the new outdoor courts at Brayton and Lake Crest. However, there are 2 concerns we'd like you to put on the board for us. The pickleball court lines on the new outdoor courts are painted blue. They are very close in color to the court surface, which is also blue. This makes them difficult to see, especially for seniors. As we age, our ability to see similar colors next to each other declines. We made the rec staff aware of this before they renovated the Lake Crest courts. They painted the same colors there. We requested they be repainted in a contrasting color. And even if that doesn't make it to the top 3, I still hope that's something you'll pass along. The second concern is lack of access to our 3 indoor courts in the summer. The reason given is that camps use the 2 gyms. However, this is only during the day. We requested and continue to request at least 2 2-hour slots per week in the evening. 5 to 7, 6 to 8, something about like that. We go to bed kind of early. Some of us are able to tolerate the heat of playing outside in the humidity. You all live in Washington, D.C. area, and do not want to miss 3 months of play. We miss our friends, we miss our fitness. Similar issues include lack of benches and lighting in Crest courts. The ones that Brayton have benches and lighting, but they don't. So thank you for anything you can do to help us out.
Okay, pickleball courts. Gina.
She's got
So, I'm going to bring my 2-minute glass. I have a 2-minute glass. Keep myself free. I forgot. Sure. Help, okay? Better? Okay, so my name is Gina. I'm married to Joe. He's in Florida playing golf right now. Otherwise, he would be here. Closer, better?
Yes.
Anyway, both are part of the pickleball group, the 2 of us. So I was not born deaf, so people had thought she's deaf, how can she talk, how can she sing? So I had a hearing aid, when I had that on, I could hear and lip read one-on-one easily. My husband Joe, on the other hand, he went to a deaf school, his first wife was deaf, his kids are deaf, everybody's deaf, no voice, only the American Sign Language, only the American Sign Language. Anyway, so the most beautiful sight for my eyes, the most beautiful sight of my eyes was Thursday a week ago, when 6 of my deaf friends from Delaware played with 6 of the pickleball group, and so they're learning 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and if you think of, we think about cultural differences and how we want people to be together and know each other, and the deaf and the hearing is almost like the last divide. And I believe in my heart that it would be possible for the Greenbelt to become like the most deaf-friendly community in the world, and it starts with the recommendation is an advisory committee of members of the club to the Department of Education, lines and scheduling. I highly recommend you start thinking about league play. Because now they have 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, 5.0, different levels of skills. Our group is very good. But my best friends, I think they beat Daniel and I forget who. And they were like, so anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Yes, Mom?
I'm wondering if the recreation center could arrange ASL lessons.
That's a good suggestion. ASL for a class in ASL.
Interested in, to grow the community.
Thank you, Mom. Yes, sir?
Ruben Scott. I live here in Greenville. I'm an advocate for the pickleball.
Anyone in here is pickleball player?
In fact, most of the pickleball players I taught. I am a teacher of pickleball. I'm presently trying to get pickleball played at the Spring Hill Lake Rec Center. I've heard, which I read in the paper, that they were going to redo the whole building there at one point. Now they've taken that money away and put it to just the outside. I would like the inside of the rec center courts redone like they're done here at the community center and the youth center here in Old Greenville. I'm a little upset because it should have been done when they were done. We're not separate. We're one community. Right?
Yes.
And if we're going to do this, we should do things as one community. We shouldn't have the kids down here looking at what's going on up here and saying, we should have that, but we don't have it. I'm saying, let's get this done. Let's get the courts done for the kids. This past Sunday, we had at least 75 to 100 kids in that gym for drills, doing drills. Please, let's get their courts done.
Thank you.
I could ask Greg, because I know within the next week, they're going to be redoing the Spring Hill Lake court in the inside.
So when it comes to basketball courts, every so often we have to sand and redo the lines. And it just happens that the youth center court was on schedule to be sanded down. So we sanded that down and put pickleball court lines in. Some of you might know there's a pickleball court here at the community center gym. It was put in the wrong way back then. They put it in even with the court. They should have put two in perpendicular to the court. So when the courts come up to be sanded down, that's when we put the pickleball lines in. And if we can expedite that process, we will. It will require us going to council and maybe ask them for a little bit more money to move that schedule up a little bit. But we are well aware that we want to put pickleball courts on all of our indoor facilities. So
when it Spring Hill Lake.
I'd have to go back and look at that, but that was one of our newest courts that were put in just recently. So I'd have to go back and look at that schedule.
I thought it was happening, because I just saw it in the notes, and they're closing the center down. For a while.
Renovation.
No, I
But
think
maybe it's not the court, it's everything else.
it's the floors, not the basketball court, it's the floors with inside the center that are getting buffed and waxed and all of that.
Oh, just buffed and waxed?
Yeah.
Not ground down?
No,
Okay.
that is not scheduled.
Yes, ma'am?
Is there a gym or some such facility in Greenbelt East?
There is not.
I used to live over there.
Well, that's Spring Hill Recreation.
No,
So
no,
that's-
So
Greenbelt East is where Strongholds Park is.
Yeah.
That's our main recreation area over there. There's another large piece of land off Mandan Road, but that's owned by the Board of Education. We use it, but only for outdoor play.
Are there tennis courts in Stronghouse?
Pardon?
Tennis courts?
Or not? Not that the city owns.
Yeah, and don't go away too far, Greg, because I think the other part of your question was about the rearranging of the money there. And I believe, and Greg can correct me if I'm wrong, the reason for that was some of the work that money was set aside for was actually, we went back and we actually already had a plan for redeveloping Spring Hill Lake Rec Center. So it was not necessary to spend that money again for planning for the redevelopment of the rec center, so it could be repurposed for some of the outside improvements. So it wasn't that we were taking away, it was that work has actually already been done, so there's no need. Am I getting that approximately right?
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Kristen Weaver, I live in Greenbelt Station, on Greenbelt Station campus.
Right. That money wasn't for redeveloping the center. It was to put a plan in place to redevelop the center. We did that back in 2002. We have that concept plan in place, so we didn't want to redo that plan and kind of waste that money again. So the outdoor area at Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center desperately needs to be upgraded. So we, as the city council, that we redirect that money to making that outdoor play area and making it a much better place for the kids. So that's what we're going to do with that money.
Because I think the truth is that actually rebuilding Spring Hill Lake Rec Center is going to be a lot more money than was allocated. The money that was allocated was simply for the planning.
Right.
We would have to probably do a bond or capital improvements over the course. It would cost more money.
So in 2002, that project would cost almost $2 million. So you do math, what it would cost today, at least double, maybe even almost triple.
But so we have the plan, we just need to find the money to implement the plan.
I'm hoping this is emergency. As I say, I teach the kids pickleball down there. There's woods in the floors that are loose. On a basketball court, you've got the courts that are loose. Boards that are loose down there. It needs to be done as soon as possible.
I will say, this time last year, we had 0 pickleball courts, and right now we have 11. So we're working to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that, Ribbon has 100 kids. We talk about, our youth and some youth are not going in the right direction all over Greenbelt. That's why I'm talking about that, right? It was definitely kids. So 100 youth engaged in a positive pro-social thing. What is more important than that? I can't believe we can't find a little pocket of money to fix that floor so that Rubens kids can play.
My idea is, with pickleball, is kids can play. Adults can play. Mothers can play with daughters. Fathers can play with sons. What I'm trying to really do is unify the family. And this is something I know can unify the family. It's not a high-priced sport. It's something $20, $30, and that's it. That's all you need. And the amount of good that it generates, it overwhelms.
Gina? A little far-fetched, but 2 couples in Howard County founded Bill Dinkers. They went into the used to be a carpet store and a fabric store in Howard County. They went in and set up pickleball courts a year ago. They are now expanding. They're going to have like 20 in San Antonio and 20 in somewhere. So there's just the medical building, the medical complex, all those buildings over there, there's got to be some empty ones. So economic development. I don't know anything about how we would make that happen, but it has happened, and it's like, whoa.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Davis. I'm Carolyn Davis. I live on the west side, Franklin Park. I want to say thank you. I've been there on Sundays, and you're working with the But also, I'd like to learn how to play pickleball. So can we see, think about the adults too. I know, and Sunday's the preferred day in Greenbelt. I know that. It's pretty bad for me. So I want to say thank you, and also that hopefully you can fix that court. The second thing is the Greenbelt News Review in Franklin Park. There's 2,877 apartments and townhomes, and there's one box, one Greenbelt News Review box to get the information. And that's at Spring Hill Drive and Evanston. And the other one was at Spring Hill Drive and Cherrywood Lane. That's a very busy street, Cherrywood Lane. And apparently something happened, there was some damage to the box, so it was removed, which is unfair. Now, I also spoke with Giant, and they said the numbers have increased for the box that's right outside of Giant. For those of you who don't shop at Giant, or we don't go that way, you can walk 4 or 5 blocks. How long is that for me? It's about 6 blocks to get the Greenbelt News Review, or a private subscription. At one time, we don't want to go back to those days, the Earth Squad did deliver, the Greenbelt News Review to Franklin Park. For whatever reason, we know why we didn't do that, because it would be. But the point is, we need another box. We need another drop-off, a box for the Greenbelt.
The city doesn't own news reviews.
I know we're talking about things that make our
This is,
concerns.
yeah.
But I will go there.
Yeah.
I will go there, because I rode around and tried to find out, but thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I was just going to suggest maybe we could have another fundraiser for pickleball courts in Spring Hill, sorry, Franklin Park, or in the surrounding other areas, because I remember when we were little kids, the youth center, all the donations were to make the youth center. So I don't know, maybe something like that, just have another.
Emmett?
Hey, I have a suggestion. I've spoken with the legal counsel for Bellwood Plaza, Marlin Properties, about the idea of them maybe, I think it was over in Fairfax County, they did these indoor pickleball courts, and it sort of drew more people into the mall, and after people would play pickleball, they could drink coffee and donuts or things that they probably shouldn't eat. So, Beltway, has a little bit of room that's open. So, I would urge you, maybe if you would kind of contact Beltway Plaza and let them know that there's a huge demand for pickleball. Maybe they would be responsive.
Molly?
I want to go back to the loose boards on the court that's being used. That's a safety issue and should get some kind of priority because it's a safety issue before children end up hurting themselves by tripping on the boards.
Thank you, Molly. Yes, you're definitely right. It's a safety issue with people who are going to trip on it, for sure. Yes, Karen?
Here we gotta get back up there. I understand about the Greenbelt News Review, but when you're working all around the city, and there's always this, people in the West don't get involved, they don't do this, they don't do that. But if you don't know what's going on, then how do you get involved? So it is a city issue to me, it doesn't make sense, just and I personally, so what do? Do I take my part? I take about 20-25 and disseminate in my section. So make sure people get information. I know you do. And to make sure that area can't take the whole complex on anymore, but it's an issue because you can't say nobody gets involved on the west side, nobody gets involved when you don't know or you find out after.
Well, Caroline, in our last open forum last year, the communication was a huge issue in that there's a Greenbelt News Review, the city has a website, there's a Facebook page, there's X, there's, all sorts of social media. And so a lot of people aren't on any of those things.
That's true.
And we had a long discussion at the last open forum about you have to figure out how to get the channel to people in the way they use that channel. So seniors particularly use the news review as a Rick?
Again, Rick Gordon, Franklin Park, Franklin City Council. So just to touch on the pickleball thing, and which is the idea, I've already been kind of in talks with the manager of Franklin Park. So there's an area for those who do know. You have 2 pools there on the property on the Spring Hill Lake. There's one that's actually actively used, and then there's one that's not used. There's actually that's not used. The youth call it the cage. They call it the cage. And they do stuff there, and actually, so I suggested take that and turn the recreation property. Turn that down, take that, and you can do pickleball courts, you could do green spaces, and actually have that there. So that's something I've already kind of talked about. Hopefully in the long term, it'll be something we can have, and add these pickleball courts actually on the property of Franklin Park. You know, so I'm kind of talking from there, trying to give them an idea of what you guys is right now. It's just a safe haven for bad stuff, because the kids hang there and just do stuff. That's why they call it the cage, unfortunately. But they can be trying something to be useful.
So do we have a different issue than pickleball out here?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just wanted
Betty?
I have two issues. One is an easy issue, but not. There are steps, thank goodness, that they put from the library down to the parking lot, and then they do park in this parking lot. The steps, the senior advisory committee said needed to be something at the end of those steps so that when you're walking down, you can see where the edge is and also you don't slide. And everybody thought, wonderful idea. It is a wonderful idea. The bottom two don't have anything left on them. You can't see the bottom two steps. Why do you need something to see it? Because if you are blind or partially vision, you can't see the edge of that step. You look down and you just see a ramp. And that's important so that people who are visually impaired can see the edge of the step. And also, so you don't slide on the edge, because it's easy to do if you don't know where the edge is. Please, could the city repair that so that they all have, it's right over this way. Between, if you're coming from the library and you want to come down to the parking lot, there's a set of stairs, okay? Library is always open, so you can see inside. That's number one for me. And my second one is, I've been reading, I've been talking about for years, we need more senior housing. I saw that article in the news review that talked about there's somebody interested in building it. I didn't know anything about that. But by golly, shouldn't we have seniors on that committee to help decide what they want in a senior housing? Long about in my gerontology degree, I happened to meet an architect who was building a building for seniors in Baltimore. And I said, oh, are you going to put toilets that are a little bit higher? Are you going to put ramp things to good enough in it? And he said, oh, they don't want those things. No. You see, not everybody understands seniors and needs. I hope that when they get into talking to the people, to those people who are going to build, you're not just making another apartment complex, but they're making a senior complex.
Well, I'll put my 2 cents in here because I've worked with people with disabilities for many years. So it's not just seniors that need those things, it's anyone with a disability. They need the wider doors, they need the higher seats, they need handrails. I need handrails. So, you know, it's not just a senior issue for affordable housing. It's good for a person with disability. Yes, ma'am?
Alice, no, I haven't said my name earlier. I live in Central Greenbelt, but I walk sometimes between Lake Crest and Southway. And it seems that there's an improvised truck repair going on between University Square and the Armory. There's a whole bunch of semi-trucks and other kind of delivery type trucks parked there. And I thought, there's parking, but then the other day I saw a car with the trunk open, looked like they were these trucks. So
your question is what's going on there?
what's going on there?
Free business.
Yeah, that's not.
But it's not zoned for business, I'm pretty sure. Yes, Conrad?
The issue of transportation has been something that I've been focusing on for many, many years. And while it's more than fantastic that we do have a service where you can call a day in advance, we really need to get beyond that. And if that means securing the funding to do that, we have to go outside of Greenbelt and put together a combination of, both WMATA, the county, even the state and so forth, and really kind of pull together an effort. Years ago, when the idea was first brought up about new apartments, buildings over at the Beltway Plaza, the mayor mentioned the general counsel, Cap Kapstein, actually to help pay for what would be a real shuttle bus program. And I actually sent to the city council a proposal for 15 spots in Greenbelt so that each of the different areas of Greenbelt could be covered. And so you would not be thinking about living in Greenbelt East, Central, or West. You'd be thinking about being shuttle bus right away. And more people need to be able to access that. And the other flip side of that equation is people talk about the traffic. If we can increase the number of people that are using an effective shuttle bus program, we can reduce the number of people that are getting behind themselves.
In the back there, please.
Hi, Robert Olson, no working here, busybody for the Golden Age Club. I don't know if it's up there, but, because I came in late, is there a law about what places have to be automatic open? Because I have a hard time getting into some places because the door is so heavy, and some of them were even that had doctor's offices in them. So I know the library put it in, the co-op has. So is there a regulation for the county, for Greenbelt? Is it just each person decides? So that's what I want to know.
Does any council member have an answer to that?
I know all of our public buildings in Greenbelt, this building, they have automatic doors. I don't really know that there's a state law that all buildings have to be ADA accessible.
I think in the 80s,
New construction.
there was a Americans with Disabilities Act, and it said all federal buildings had to have accessible. And in many counties and government building usually has accessible doors. If they're a private entity, there's no law that says they have to have accessible doors. Accessibility. You would think a medical center would.
We would think.
When I go to, they have one of those doors in the entire building, and if you don't know about it, then you struggle with it. Yes?
So, James Ripple, 14 similar to something that Conrad brought up, transportation is something that's very, very important to me, specifically non-car transportation. I would like to see fewer people, behind the wheel, because some people are either unable to, especially like our youth, obviously, but then, of course, the older you get, the more uncomfortable you are behind the wheel. I'd like to see I'd like to see more support to non-car related ways of transportation. I'd like to see, for instance, our bike lanes be protected with things like bollards or other barriers that keep cars physically from being able to get in there. Biking on, for instance, Crescent Road, I enjoy the fact that there's a bike lane there. And I enjoy the fact that it's still pretty scary to ride a bike next to a car, even if that car is only going 30 miles per hour. But that's to say nothing about Greenbelt Road. I think that probably shouldn't have had a bike lane in the first place. There probably should have been a bike path that's completely separate from that road, but that is not really our jurisdiction to say the least. And more just protection for sidewalks. There are some sidewalks that are right up against the street, right up on the curb. And it's pretty scary when cars are driving by and there's nothing between you and the car.
I think mentioned earlier was some funds for pedestrian and bike safety.
Yep.
So Jay, were you the one who mentioned that, or Emmett?
Yeah, there is, but not what you're describing. What we are doing, if we get funds on Hanover Parkway, we're creating a path rather, so that people can be separate from traffic. It's difficult to do when the roadway's already built. It's easier to put in when you are building a whole new road, or you're widening, or you're changing. And so we have a plan for Greenbelt Road, if we ever get the funding from the state, that would also make it so that you narrow the lanes and you have places for the buses and the places for the bikes and the places for the walkers, and it would look prettier, but we have the design, we just need the funding.
Always need the money.
Yeah.
Yes, sir?
Wayne Williams, Greenbelt Center. Four things. One was the stairs. It's not just the two bottom stairs. They need to be maintained, going from the community center to the library. Second, the traffic flow on Westway between Ridge and Blake Hillside Drive is oftentimes, and I'm not proposing ticketing or anything, I'm proposing to take care of the problem. Oftentimes there's a car parked there waiting for somebody to get in and out, or a delivery truck just sitting there while the person delivers in the road, blocking traffic. The other traffic thing is at Legion Drive, Legion Drive, Lake Crest Drive, and Greenbelt Road. It's a mess, and it always has been. And there are accidents, and it might be answered, but I think a traffic engineer might know possible things you could do. Another thing is there are still trees from the storm a year ago. There are still trunks and limbs and everything hanging around that should be taken care of before they actually, I mean, kids playing in the woods or something, they're dead, they'll fall of it. And so I think that the city might look at the trees, and if they're in somebody's yard and well, there's one Crescent Road where the whole, about 30 feet of trees are lying at the trunk, lying there across a dozen other trees. Things like that around the city should be taken care of, I think. I know that the money we spend on trees is phenomenal, and maybe a better plan for how to handle this in the long run so that we're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on trees.
Thank you, William. I will say that corner by the American Legion comes up in every single open forum. Emmett?
Yeah, Mr. Williams, you brought up a good point about the Westway, and it's not a good situation there. The road's very narrow.
Yes.
And I think the reason why there are so many cars parked there is there's a limit for people who live in University Square. There's a limit to the number of parking permits they have. So those cars there are people who are living in University Square, but maybe for whatever reason they don't have a parking permit.
Yeah. That's,
So also the bus comes
that's
up.
exactly
there,
true. That's
deliveries,
exactly what I'm
Amazon,
saying.
people picking up. So it's a difficult situation.
So Jay?
Yeah, the intersection at, I don't think I've heard except for where I'm from, Greenbelt East. The intersection by Lake Crest, we did bring that up to the State Highway Administration, and a couple of years ago, they said they would look at it, plan to do some improvements, and the last time we talked with them, they said they shelved it. They don't have the money or the time or whatever. So we'll keep asking about, we know that that's a problem. Westway and the parking, yeah, but sometimes if the road is narrower, supposedly, people go slower. I certainly take my time when I go down Westway, and I'm very careful because I'm sure they're going to hit, one of those things. But it is a problem. We are aware of that, especially when you got large vehicles or people don't park as close to the curb as they should. I was going to answer the person who had a question about the parking spaces that go right up to the edge of the lot entrances. If you have a specific spot in mind, let the planning department know, because they will go out and look. We've done it along Lake Crest, I believe, and we've done it along Hanover Parkway, along Greenbrier, where we've cut back the parking. The problem in GHI, if you cut out a parking space, we will have 10 people here next year saying, there's not enough parking in GHI.
Maybe 20.
So, but if you do have that sightline problem, definitely contact the planning department. They'll look at it.
I met with them. I met with them.
Oh, okay.
What did they say?
They'll check that.
That's interesting.
No, but they do, and they have rules on the lines. They have to. Well, I understand, but it's a long list.
Okay, then we,
I have a Westway parking. I live on Northway. It's a pretty narrow street, and we're the only street with homes. So, but we only allow parking. Parking is only allowed on one side of the street. I would think a suggestion, you know, it might make the people go out further in the community, but it would give more room to drive. Because when you meet a bus coming through there on a Sunday morning, it's scary.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a small car. I can imagine coming through there with a large SUV. So if you can limit parking to one side of the street like they do on Northway, that might solve the problem.
Yes?
James, well, I'd just like to say that I concur with Jay on her point that smaller lanes will slow down cars. I'm sure, as we've discussed, we're all kind of afraid of cars speeding down some of these roads, especially the residential roads. Research has shown that most of the time how fast you go on a road is tied to how comfortable you are on the road, obviously. Most of the time, you're not really regulating your speed actively. You're doing that subconsciously. And what feeds into that is how wide the roads are. So if we narrow the lanes, that forces cars to go slower. That's a much better solution than what people have done in the past, which is just putting up a sign saying, if you go over this number, you're going to get a ticket.
So I live in Green Valley East, and we have narrow streets where people park on both sides. And in front of my house, there's like a row of trees. So one end of the trees, somebody will show up, and at this end of the trees, they'll show up, and they won't give way because only one vehicle can get through. And there's always these battles out there of who is going to back up, and that becomes, because there's like 5 to 6 vehicles in a row. So I know exactly what I'm talking about, but it certainly slows them down, but it certainly makes them angry. Another issue for me, I live in Green Valley East, and when Eleanor Roosevelt High School lets out, there are people, parents parked everywhere along Frankfurt.
Same thing at the elementary school.
So it's probably worse at the elementary school. So that's my issue. So, Emmett?
Yeah, you know, that's a huge issue. Just yesterday, I was driving just past Edmonston Road at 3:30 in the afternoon, and traffic was at a standstill between the French Immersion School and Greenbelt Middle School. Also, I heard from residents over by Greenbelt Elementary School who live across the street from the school, and you know, parents are looking for some place to park, so that they're actually parking in reserved spaces across the street at the elementary school. So it's a big problem, and it's a problem with the schools to some extent. Coming out of COVID, so many parents weren't comfortable with school buses, and so they started driving their kids to school, picking those young people up. And unfortunately, the pivot is not, hasn't gotten back the way it was before. There's not enough school bus drivers. So it's something that the council's very sensitive to, because people who live, you know, in Greenbelt need to be able to get through the streets to get to where they need to go. And if you have a reserved parking space, it should be reserved. So it's a problem. We're really sensitive to it. We'll be communicating with the school board because we don't control the schools. But it's an issue, so put that on the list.
Yes, Monica.
Hi, I'm Monica Huber, and I live in Greenbelt Center at Greenridge House. I'm a frequent walker around Greenbelt Lake, and I'm not sure if it's just that I've noticed this past several months or year, that particularly in the afternoon, after 3 o'clock, there are large groups of students that come from a variety of schools. DeMatha, Seton, Pilati, Eleanor Roosevelt are 4 that I know for sure. And they have, I guess, cross-country teams that jog in groups around the lake. And they can present a rather intimidating onslaught for pedestrians. And I've talked to a couple of the coaches recently, asking them if they could ask their students to watch out for the pedestrians, because they walk like right on the edge of the trail. And I don't think I should have to hide behind a tree when a group comes jogging around there. But what I heard from talking with different people, I think it's DeMatha that has the largest group. There's at least 3 groups that come with their own buses. And some of them are groups, are using maybe 2 at a time. And first of all, I do find it is a little disturbing when I walk around the lake to have this horse. I mean, really, there's that group, but they're like a stampede of horses. And they don't move over. They like to run before having their conversations. And, well, one kid, he did bang into my elbow. Now, it didn't injure me, but I did mention this to one of the coaches. And I said, you know, they're just not showing much respect. It's like, we're all here. You guys hide behind a tree while we go by. Anyway, but I have a question regarding this, and I have talked to a few other people. I haven't taken a survey to see how many people find this disturbance, but my question is, do they make an arrangement with the city to come from outside the area and use the facilities that they don't help pay for? Okay, and also, especially, I was wondering, people have to reserve the tennis courts. I don't play tennis. I don't know how it works out. Maybe they reserve, maybe they pay. I don't know.
Hey, actually, you can ask Mr. Barlow.
Yes.
Greg,
So the tennis courts a paid rental from the high schools. Usually use it, I'd say 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's seasonal. I think Seton Mathis in the springtime. I think Mayor Jordan can confirm that. That's correct. Yeah. As for the groups running around the lake, I can certainly let the park rangers know that situation. The only group we talk to routinely is University of Maryland, because they also bring their cross-country team. And we talk to their coach a lot. They try to come during a time where it's not as crowded, but that coach talks to their students or their runners about being respectful to the people. But we will reach out to DeMatha and Elizabeth Seton and whoever else down there, and we'll send a park ranger down there to talk to the coaches.
does University of Maryland on weekends in the early morning?
I thought they were coming during the week in the morning.
Oh, okay. So I haven't noticed. These are high school.
Yeah. The University of Maryland usually comes during the weekdays in the morning time. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I would just say we got a nice national park with nice roads through it with no traffic. You could send some of these track teams that way.
And they're much longer trails.
Or they go
What they like about Buddy Park is that it's not paved.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
what
I know.
And it's smart your house.
Yes, sir, back there.
Related,
Excuse me.
sorry, related to the ongoing issue, I've seen this at a few places, and I know that our park trail around Pontiac Park isn't super wide, but what do we think of the idea of putting a fast track, like a jogging lane on that trail? That's specific for people everywhere else.
Well, that's an idea, thank you very much. Do we have another issue out here? Okay. So what I want you all to do is to fill out evaluation forms. You got to share, and then put your completed evaluation form on the back out there. I want to thank you all for coming and for sharing what you like about Greenbelt and things you'd like to see different in Greenbelt. And I want to thank Cecil and Greg and the people from the Recreation Department and all who came to speak to your issues today. Conrad?
Can we just thank the Senior Advisory Committee?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.